Let me now bring in my guest, Sami al-Arian. He's a public affairs professor at Istanbul Zaim University. Thank you for being with us on the program. It's really good to see you. Let me pick up where our correspondents left off at. The ceasefire. What are your thoughts on it? And are the two sides warming up to the idea?
I think right now we're only hearing an Israeli side of the story. I think they're trying to push this pretty hard. The resistance has not said that it has accepted these terms. These terms are very favorable to Israel. It doesn't really show any kind of any concession. Israelis had uh, public objectives for this operation, for these military incursions and military genocide that they are doing in Gaza. And first, they wanted to end or get rid of the resistance, and they wanted to make life unlivable in Gaza. And I think they have reached that objective pretty much, but they were trying also conspicuously trying to force the Palestinians to leave Gaza. They failed to do that. But this so-called ceasefire or this deal that the United States has been pushing in order to absolve Israel from the crime of genocide, I don't think this is a done deal because the resistance has said that they will not agree to anything unless there is a permanent ceasefire. This deal does not guarantee any kind of ceasefire, does not guarantee any withdrawal from Gaza, does not even guarantee the aid that the
Right.
International Court of Justice has actually made it as legal and as obligatory to every country on earth. And yet, actually, if anything, the aid has been cut off since that ruling was announced last Friday.
Right. On that point, you're mentioning UNRWA, I'm assuming. They defunded the organization, and it's one of the main humanitarian organizations that operate within Gaza and beyond, really. How profound of an effect is this going to have?
Really profound. We're talking about an organization that gives aid to 5 million, even beyond Gaza. It gives aid to Palestinians in the West Bank, in Lebanon, in Syria, in Jordan, and other places around the world. And to defund it, it's just a statement by the West that they really have no respect whatsoever, not only to the Palestinians as human beings, but also to the ruling that the International Court of Justice has said. I mean, it's one of the 6 rulings. It said that the Palestinians must get all the aid that they need in Gaza. And instead of increasing that aid, which was prior to October 7th, about 500 trucks a day, and then it trickled down to only a few dozens a day, and now even to 5 to 10 a day. I mean, since that ruling, it's even gotten worse. There are people today who are facing real hunger. We're talking about children, hundreds of thousands of children who are facing hunger, with this word saying that somehow the Israelis gave them a statement of 12 people under interrogation, under torture, that they were involved in the October 7th and that they worked for UNRWA, and therefore they were going to cut off UNRWA
Right.
completely. I think it's just a ruse so
Right,
that they
and of
can
course,
cover.
these are all unconfirmed reports. I just want to read
That's right.
between the lines a bit here, because this action was taken straight off the ICJ hearing that you mentioned. What message do you think that Israel is trying to send off of the back of that hearing, with making countries like the US and the UK and other countries in the region cut funding from the organization?
Well, Israel always tried to portray itself as a victim, while it is obviously the victimizer in this case. They killed, injured, maimed, and those who are under the rubble missing, over 100,000 in a matter of 4 months. So Israel is no victim. Israel actually is a perpetrator of genocide. But they will try to portray themselves as victims, and that they should not be held accountable because of something happened in Europe 8 decades ago, the Holocaust. And I think this is no longer working. I think the people around the world are no longer buying this, even though countries in the West have been basically shielding and protecting Israel from being accountable to any of its crimes. And for Israel now to totally ignore what the ICJ ruling said, I think should have profound also significance and results. They're supposed to report back now in about 3 weeks to the ICJ what they have done to the rulings that they have issued. And I think nothing has changed. Actually, if anything, it's becoming worse.
All right, Professor Sami al-Arian, thank you so much for being with us here on TRT World and sharing that analysis with us. I appreciate it.